Quick question then. Will, how often in your projects have you had to do a root cause analysis to understand why the data is what it is? In other words, it's one thing to understand what the data, and I'll use the example that you used earlier about the guy or woman sending out 20 emails with no response, or who's actually creating new opportunities.
Yeah.
Well, what was the root cause analysis of why that is the case? Was it the messaging? Could that be articulated in a different way? So if you could just comment on your root cause analysis process, that'd be great.
I'm going to try and answer it not with a marketing example because I'm not, my specialty is very much operations. So, or at least let's call it core operations. What I believe is when you start going down a self-service analytics project on a data warehouse, the person, let's say me, who's doing the SQL work, will quickly begin to see what you're describing. They're starting the root cause analysis. But what I've discovered is if I then try and solve the problem as the analytics person, it will never bake. So I start to say, okay, if this, and this, then this report, okay, stick that on the person whose job it is to fix that problem's dashboard and just say very little and let them freak out when they realize, okay, our click-through is terrible, or all of our estimated delivery dates are wrong, or whatever it happens to be. I have done a lot of what you're describing, and the biggest mistake I've tried to do is then go fix the problem for the person who's responsible for it. I think that when you get a client who will start their surveillance journey and their performance journey, if you can get them on Tableau, Click, Power BI, or something where you can go, no kidding, look at the data, but not make the mistake I made very, very much in my career of trying to solve that problem for them, but actually propagate to them. Did you know that this is going on? Do you realize that this is a problem? I think that I maybe it's just a function of getting older and more mature as a professional that I don't feel like I have to solve the problem anymore. As a root cause analyst, which I've been many times, it worked the best when I just emerged the problem and then I stuck it in their face, but I didn't call it out to their boss, but I stuck it in their face. And then I allowed them to start cleaning up their own problem. That's kind of an anecdotal way of answering your question, but I think all of us have been in that root cause world, but all of us as leaders are always saying, well, let me go solve the problem then. But really, you don't want to solve it. You want the person whose job it is to solve the problem. They didn't have the data. It's so funny how an analyst will suddenly have their data. They don't even have the data. I'm in the SQL tables. I'm messing around with the POs or the contacts or the accounts, and they don't even have that data. They'll get pissed if I come back and say, I know something you don't know. So instead, what I try to do is, let's expose the problem, and then they're very naturally, as experts, usually going to figure it out.